Welcome to Wellywood Wargaming, where the grim dark never sleeps. Crack open a bottle of wild snake and spark up a low stick as we take a journey down Underhive.
Welcome back, folks, to the second installment in my top 10 weapons and war gear series for Necromunda. Before I get started though, please do like, share, subscribe and check out the Patreon as well if you'd like to support me further. We're going to be talking about pistols in this episode. Now, there are an absolute plethora of different pistols and sidearms in the game of Necromunda, so it was quite hard for me to pick a top 10. Again, though, this is based on my own experiences with the game and the meta where I play, so this might be slightly different to your games depending on your arbitrator and the sort of meta that you're going to encounter in your groups out there, so do bear that in mind. However, I do appreciate getting the conversation started down below in the comments. If you disagree with any of this, get this conversation started, because that's what it's all about, sharing our own ideas and experiences with the rules in this glorious, glorious game. We're going to kick things off with the las pistol here today. Now, the reason why I'm starting with the las pistol is absolutely it's not the best pistol in the game, but it is an absolute classic of Necromunda, and you will be able to find a las pistol in every single corner of Necromunda. So everything can carry a las pistol, from juves to hangers-on, gangers, even gang leaders can tote las pistols, and they're pretty damn reliable. They're probably the most reliable pistol in the game. They are 10 credits normally at the trading post, and they are common, meaning that everybody can get access to these things, and they're not, you know, super damage dealing, but they're just a very reliable sidearm to have. So the stats for a las pistol are as follows. We've got range 8 at short range with +1 to hit, which is quite nice, 12 inch at long range with no negs or bonuses there at all. There's strength 3, which is pretty low. They have no AP, but they do have that 2+ ammo roll as well as plentiful, so it makes them very easy to reload, very reliable, good at short range of 8 inches at that +1 to hit, and really you're going to be using these just to pin targets most of the time. It's a 10 credit weapon, and it's cheaper for some other gangs as well. I believe House Van Saar get them for 5 credits, which is an absolute steal. Not to mention you can upgrade these things with the Hot Shot Power Pack, just like you can with a las gun, for an extra 20 credits, and again common. Sometimes these are available on house lists as well, but the Hot Shot Power Pack makes a very mundane sort of pistol a little bit more exciting. It doesn't change the range or the modifiers at all, but what it does do is up the strength to strength 4 from strength 3, meaning that you're wounding your average toughness 3 gangers on a 3 now instead of a 4, which does make a big difference. It also adds -1 AP as well, making it bypass armor a little bit easier. So early on in the campaign, you're going to have lots of las weapons, but you're going to want to probably upgrade them with at least some hot shot power packs down the track. The only caveat to this, though, is the ammo does change from a 2+ to a 4+, and they are no longer plentiful. So not quite as reliable in terms of reloading them, but just the same sort of accuracy and a bit more punch than you would get normally. For 20 credits, it's definitely worth it, especially if you're Van Saar and you bought the pistol originally for 5 credits. That's 25 credits for a strength 4 -1 AP, fairly reliable weapon. So there you go. The other upgrade that you can put on these guys, again, the same as the las gun, is the focusing crystal. I tend to avoid this most of the time, but it is an option. These things are still 8 inches at short range with +1 to hit and 12 inches at long range. No changes there. There's still strength 3, but what you get with the focusing crystal is -2 AP. So again, further on in the campaign, when you're dealing with a little bit more armor, generally, if you've got lots of enforcers and squats and things like that, that -2 AP can be pretty handy in a pinch. There's still only damage 1. The ammo goes up from a 2+ to a 3+, which is still pretty good. They still have the sidearm trait, so you can use them in close combat. However, they are unstable. So if you're unlucky, these can explode in your hands and take your ganger with them. So it's 30 credits, and it's rare 10 generally at the trading post. Some gangs get these as common items on their house list, but the focusing crystal for 30 credits for me is a little bit too risky. It's nice on a juve or something, but generally speaking, you're going to prefer the hot shot pack. But overall, the las pistol is just a very solid, reliable weapon, and the real sort of upsides to it are the sort of ammo and the reliability at close range as well. The accuracy is pretty good on the las pistol. I had to put it in here because it's just a 40k classic, so the las pistol is in at number 10. The next one's a little bit weird, if I'm honest, but still deserving of a top 10 spot here, I think, is the Grav pistol. Not to be confused with its special weapon counterpart, the Grav gun. This one came out with the Book of Shadows, the Delac book, and it isn't exclusive necessarily to Delac anymore. It's rarity 11 and it is 70 credits. It's quite expensive for a pistol, but it does offer you something slightly different. I really, really, really like the Grav gun. It's definitely something I'm going to be talking about a lot in the next episode when I do special weapons. But here are the stats for the Grav pistol here. It is a little bit different to most pistols. We have a short range of 6 at +1 to hit again, which is nice and reliable at 6 inches. We've got a 12-inch max long range there as well. It doesn't have strength because it has the Grav trait, which we're going to talk about in a second. It does have -1 AP and 2 damage though, which is excellent. So any weapon with multiple damage just is so much harder to deal with if it hits your guys. 2 damage is really, really nasty. We have an ammo trait of 5+, which is not too good, but it isn't scarce like a plasma gun or a plasma pistol, so you don't have to worry about that. You can reload it. It's still a 1 in 3 to reload this weapon. So what you do get, though, is you don't get the sidearm trait, which means that you can't use this thing in close combat. However, you wouldn't want to because it is a blast 3-inch template. So you can chuck a little 3-inch sort of frag grenade sized template 12 inches away from you, 6 inches if you want to use it close up and actually risk it at +1 to hit. Blast 3 inches is really, really good here. It comes with concussion as well, which gives the target -2 initiative or handling, depending on the vehicle as well. And it's pretty damn good, really. The other thing we have is obviously Graviton Pulse, which is the main reason why you're going to take Grav here. Instead of making a wound roll, pass a strength test or suffer damage. No save roll can be made. So you're -1 AP, but you don't get a save anyway. So that -1 AP is kind of like, I'm not really sure why it's there. But no save at 2 damage, it's pretty nasty. So, you know, on the lower strength gangers, this is really, really nice. Also, after the weapon has been fired, leave the blast marker in place for the remainder of that round. Any model moving through this area will use 2 inches of their movement for every 1 inch. So you can use this thing to gum up corridors and stop people charging you. The thing I like about Grav a lot is it's quite tactical in the way that you can just plop one of these markers somewhere and stop people moving through it and charging you. Yes, it's a little bit situational, but if you use it right and you use it with a little bit of guile, you can really do some fun stuff with Grav, and that is why I've put the Grav pistol in at number 9. The next one in at number 8 is the Ashwaste Nomad exclusive blast pistol. Now, it is a bit of a shame this isn't available to all gangs, but I do have a strong feeling that the trading post update that we're going to get in the new Nomad book might hopefully allow us to have blast weapons for the other gangs in Necromunda. So keep your fingers crossed for that. I have a feeling that might happen. I really do hope so anyway. But the blast pistol here in question is 15 credits and at the moment only for Ashwaste Nomads. But it is a really good pistol, and here's why. Its range short is 8 inches at +1 to hit, which is again the same as a las pistol here, which is pretty good with a maximum range of 12 inches as well. Pretty typical for most pistols, as you'll notice. We have strength 3, so it's certainly not a strong weapon. Damage 1 and 4+ on the ammo with no AP on it whatsoever. It has the sidearm trait, so you can use this in close combat, and you will probably. And it also has shock, which is what makes this weapon pretty good, really. So you're fishing for 6s with this. If you hit on 6s, it automatically wounds. So there is the sort of strong trait that you get with this weapon. Yes, it's 15 credits, but I think having shock on a pistol weapon, on a Juve, say, being able to hit at 8 inches with +1 to hit and using this in as a sidearm in close combat can be really, really good if you roll those 6s to hit. And that is why I've stuck the blast pistol in at number 8 here. In at number 7, we have a Delac exclusive, and this one is absolutely one of my favorites, the Fléchette pistol. I think Dan Abnett has wrote about Fléchette pistols, or at least needle pistol variants, in some of his novels, but the Fléchette pistol basically shoots a barrage of tiny little needles. Some of them are poisoned, some of them are not, but the Fléchette pistol is just a really cool weapon that I'd love to get my hands on in real life and actually shoot at some of my enemies. Anyway, maybe I've got some real problems there. The Flechette pistol has two different weapon profiles, and they're both pretty decent. It costs 30 credits, and again, it is Delac exclusive, so nobody else can get these. They are purely for Delac, and here's why. So we've got two different types of ammo here. The one that you're going to use as backup is the solid ammo. This is 4 inches at short range, 12 inches at long range with +1 to hit at that short range. Strength 3, 1 damage, no AP, and 4+ on the ammo there as well. They are rapid fire 1 though. They have sidearm and they have silent. So it's basically exactly the same as an auto pistol, but with silent. So you can sneak around using this thing and it just shoots lots of little darts into people. We then, though, have the main event, which is Fleshbane ammo. This thing has the same range profile, so 4 inches at close range with no bonuses here, unfortunately, but 12 inches at long range as well. What this thing has, though, is an ammo of 6+, rapid fire 1, again, scarce, so if you run out, you run out, sidearm, silent, and toxin. So we've got a rapid fire toxin weapon here. Very, very scary, particularly if you do this thing up with maybe a chem synth and make it even more effective. Toxin can be really nasty, so you're probably going to want to switch out the type of ammo that you're using in a game depending on your target. If you're shooting a Juve who's already been flesh wounded, absolutely use the solid ammo. If you're shooting a tough leader with multiple wounds, then getting that lucky Fleshbane shot off with multiple shots and getting through with toxin can be really, really dangerous indeed. 30 credits, I think it's probably about right for this weapon, but I absolutely love the idea of a Delac champion with 2 Flechette pistols just ripping into everybody. It's such a fantastic build to do. Really fun Flechette gunslinger idea for your Delac gangs. Anyway, that's the Flechette pistol. In at number 6, we have a special one. This one came out with the Spire Black Market from Apocrypha Necromunda, but I thought I'd include it anyway just because it's a ridiculous weapon. This you can only get at rare 13, so you're going to need to roll very, very high at the trading post to get this, and it costs 120 credits, and this is the Archeo dueling pistol. It is a relic of a lost age. The Archeo dueling pistol looks more like an ancient black powder weapon than anything that could pose as a serious threat to one's enemies, though they have the power to put down an ambot with a single shot. I would argue maybe not, but if you get lucky, perhaps. Anyway, the Archeo dueling pistol for 120 credits at rare 13, you get a range 6-inch at short range with 16-inch at long range. So it's a little bit longer than most pistols, which is pretty nice. That extra few inches does make a big difference. It's also +2 to hit at short range as well. So close up, this thing really is dangerous. Now, it does have strength 5, which means that you're wounding Ogryns and Ambots on 4s, which I suppose the mention of putting down an Ambot in there does kind of make a little bit sense there. It's -2 AP as well, so you're getting through mesh armor easy, piece of cake. You're getting through most armor types here, except for field armor, and it is damage 2 as well. So again, the multiple damage being very, very scary on this weapon. Strength 5, -2 AP, and 2 damage. The traits here are the icing on the cake, though. You get Pulverize and rending, and of course sidearm. So you can use this thing in close combat. It's not rapid fire or anything, but it is really nasty. Rending, I remind you, is a 6+ on the wound roll, adds extra damage. So you can make this thing 3 damage if you get lucky with a 6 on the wound roll. And Pulverize as well, you get to convert a flesh wound into a serious injury if you need to as well. So it's a pretty nasty weapon, and yes, it's going to put down a lot of targets indeed. Will it put down an Ambot? I'm not sure. Let's see if you can use it to good effect in that regard. But that is the Archeo dueling pistol. I thought I'd include it in here just because it's a bit of a silly one. At rare 13 and 120 credits, it's hard to get hold of, but if you're lucky enough to give this to your leader, or you've got some sort of up-hive noble operating in your gang, then this is definitely going to fit the bill. I just think it's a really cool idea for a weapon, and it might not be the most cost-effective weapon, but it certainly is very scary if you come across one of these things. So that was the Archeo dueling pistol. Going back to the mundane here, in at number 5, we have the auto pistol. I mean, I had to include the auto pistol, and I think it has to go above the las pistol overall. It's a funny one. I think there's always been an argument as to which is better, auto weapons or las weapons, and really it's just down to preference. The numbers are pretty similar if you really get down to the meta of it. I do, however, think where I generally prefer the las gun over the auto gun, I do generally prefer the auto pistol over the las pistol, for a number of reasons, but I think the main thing here is because I can use it in close combat. So the auto pistol is available for every gang, and it is common at the trading post at 10 credits. If you are lucky though, like you play for Delac or something, I believe you get auto pistols for 5 credits, which is really, really good. They're 4 inches at close range with +1 to hit. They're 12 inch at long range, similar to all of the other pistols. They're strength 3. They've got 1 damage, no AP, and 4+ ammo here as well. However, they do have that sidearm trait, and you can use them in close combat as well as rapid fire 1. So you can get a possible 3 shots out with these things. Yes, they're only strength 3, and yes, they're only damage 1 with no AP, but if you get lucky, you can take a multi-wound target out with these things. I've seen it happen. I took out a squat chartermaster with a reclaimed 5 credit auto pistol in one game. There's actually a battle report for that. If you go back and watch it, it happened, believe me. A reclaimed auto pistol, 5 credits, took out a chartermaster with, I believe, heavy carapace armor, and just didn't make the save. So it does happen. You can get very lucky with these things. The other thing about auto pistols, of course, I just mentioned reclaimed auto pistols. If you want to trade off the ammo roll of 4+ for an ammo roll of 5+, you can get a 5 credit reclaimed auto pistol. I usually think this is worth it as well. I said so with the auto gun. I just think it's often worth it for the cost reduction, just so you can squeeze in more stuff on your gang lists. You can also get different types of ammo for this. You can get warp rounds, which are really, really scary and have cursed static rounds, and different types of rounds that you can add to these guys. Man-stopper rounds as well, which are particularly good. And the auto pistol is just an absolute classic in Necromunda, I suppose. So I had to include it here. One of my favorite builds, and this is down to arbitrator discretion, is the Gene Stealer Alpha with the 3 arms with Gunfighter using 3 auto pistols. Again, you'd have to argue and ask your arbitrator about this, but shooting 3 auto pistols for a possible 9 shots is really, really nice. It's also worth mentioning here, of course, the Squat Ironhead auto pistol for, I believe, 20-25 credits, has rapid fire 2 as well, and is still really, really good at that cost as well. So putting out a possible 6 shots with the Squat version of this gun, I absolutely had to include the auto pistol in here, and that's why it's there. The next one is, I think, the most Necromunda of all of the weapons in Necromunda, and that, of course, is the stub gun. You might be asking me why I included a 5 credit gun in this top 10 list. Well, partly for nostalgia. All of the old school Juves had stub guns, particularly the Escher Juve with the stub gun and the pick, my favourite model from Jess Goodwin's era of Necromunda miniatures anyway. I just think the stub gun is just a really, really cool weapon. It takes on lots of different aesthetics and forms in miniature form, so you can get lots of different versions of this, from quite compact looking ones to big revolvers and magnums and stuff. The stub gun is really good for a number of reasons, and again, it's only 5 credits and it's available to absolutely everybody in Necromunda. It's 6 inches at close range, it's 12 inches at long range. However, the thing that makes the stub gun shine a lot really is the +2 to hit at short range. So this is the weapon that you tend to give to your Juves. Most Juves in the game have stub guns purely because that +2 to hit at short range, if you can close the distance, does negate the fact that you have crap ballistic skill generally. So if you're ballistic skill 5 up, that +2 to hit makes it a 3 up in close quarters, which is pretty handy to have. They're strength 3, they don't have AP, they're damage 1, they're 4+ ammo. However, they do also have that plentiful trait, which the las pistol had as well, meaning that you can reload these things very easily, and of course sidearm as well, so you can use these in close combat too. 5 credits, I just think it's a great weapon. Stub guns are absolutely the heart and soul of Necromunda, but you can upgrade them a little bit as well here with different types of ammo. You can get warp rounds, static rounds, and most typically you'll get dum-dum rounds, which again are very iconic Necromunda here. The dum-dum rounds I'm just going to go through quickly for an extra 5 credits. They are limited, they still have the sidearm trait, and the range slightly differs here with 5 inches at short range and 10 inches at long range. However, you don't get that +2 to hit at short range, you just get +1 on this, so it is a bit of a trade-off. However, it upgrades the strength of the stub gun shot for dum-dums, which is strength 4. So you've made a 5 credit weapon, a 10 credit weapon, and they're strength 4, which is pretty good. I quite often buy dum-dums if I can get access to them. It's just worth having dum-dums, and if you run out of dum-dums, you just default back to the plentiful version of the stub gun. So pretty good, and I had to include the stub gun here because it's just, it's such a heart and soul of Necromunda type weapon. So there you go. We're into the top 3 now, and this one is the plasma pistol. Now, the plasma pistol, while not quite as good as its special weapon cousin, the plasma gun, it's still a very, very solid pistol indeed, if a little bit expensive and unreliable. It's rarity 9, so it's a little bit harder to get hold of. However, many of the house gangs get this on their house list, particularly for champions and leaders and stuff. It's definitely a weapon that you're not going to want to give to Juves. You're going to want someone who is important to carry a plasma pistol generally. 50 credits for the plasma pistol, which is quite expensive. However, they are very good, and with the plasma weapons in general, you usually get 2 different profiles. So a low profile and a maximal profile here. So first, the low profile of the plasma pistol is as follows. It's 6 inches at close range, 12 inches at long range. So the same as many other pistols. It is +2 to hit at short range though, which again is really, really good here. It's strength 5, meaning that you're wounding Ogryns and Ambots on 4s, which is very good, -1 AP, and again 2 damage here. So a very, very good pistol indeed. Ammo is 5+, and it does have the scarce trait. So when you run out of ammo, you run out of ammo. It does, however, have sidearm as well, so you can use this in close combat to very good effect, and it puts out lots of damage. It doesn't have the rapid fire that the plasma gun gets, but it's still a very good single shot weapon. Then we have the maximal trait. If you really want to go crazy and all out, and you really want to take out your target and you're desperate to do so, then you're going to want to use this thing on maximal. This still has the same range profile. However, it's not +2 to hit a short range, it's +1 to hit a short range, so a little bit less accurate on that. However, it ups the strength from 5 to 7, which is just absolutely monstrous. The AP goes from -1 to -2, and it is now 3 damage. So absolutely, if you get hit by this thing, it's like being hit by a truck. It's 5+ ammo still. It's still scarce. It still has sidearm, however, it has unstable. So it's risky doing this. If the ammo symbol is rolled when attacking, roll a 4+, or the attacker suffers a catastrophic overload and automatically goes out of action. So it's risky. It's a 50-50 doing it. But again, if you want to really take out your target, maximal is the only way to go, if you ask me. It takes some balls doing it, but you'll get used to it when you start playing Necromunda loads, because plasma guns, just always shoot them on maximal. It's much more fun to do that, or just don't listen to me actually, because that's probably crazy. Anyway, that's the plasma pistol in at number 3. It was really difficult to pick a top 10 pistols here, and the order of these pistols as well in the top 10 is also really hard, but I've gone with my heart, and number 2 is the web pistol. So similar to its special weapon cousin, which is just an horrific weapon, the web pistol is no different. It's a little bit weaker, but it's still really, really powerful. Now, the web pistol isn't your typical pistol in that it doesn't have sidearm. However, it is a template weapon. It is strength 4. It doesn't have damage, it doesn't have AP, but it does have the web trait, meaning that basically if you wound your target, it is automatically counting as seriously injured. It means that you can capture people a bit easier, and you can come in with your juves and kick people to death in a coup de grace action as well. The web pistol is really, really scary in the right hands. And again, strength 4 is wounding most targets on a 3. Most of your gangers have got toughness 3. It's 6+ ammo, and it is silent as well, so you do get that silent trait for sneaking around. Template and web, it's really nasty. It's 90 credits at the trading post and rarity 9, so it is a little bit harder to get hold of normally. At 90 credits, it's also quite expensive. However, House de Lac get them on the house list for 80 credits as well. Anybody with a web pistol is really, really scary, let alone a web gun, and that's why I had to include it in at number 2. All right, people, in at number 1, I think you've probably already guessed what this was going to be. It is, of course, the hand flamer. Now, the hand flamer, in a way, is kind of similar to the web pistol. I just think it's a bit nastier because it's cheaper and you have the blaze condition on this one. So the hand flamer, rarity 8, so it's a little bit easier to get hold of than a web pistol. It's also slightly cheaper at 75 credits as well. Also, Chaos Helot Colts and Gene Stealer Colts get them much cheaper. Gene Stealer Colts get them 50 credits, by the way, which is really, really cheap. It could be a typo here, but I've got 50 credits written down for Gene Stealer Colts. But the hand flamer is also a template weapon that you cannot use in close combat. Thank God. It's strength 3, so it's not quite as strong as the web pistol. There's no AP on it. It's only damage 1. It's 5+ ammo, and it is blaze. So again, anything that you get under this template, you can set on fire, and potentially that target is out for at least a turn or 2 or 3 if you get lucky. I just think blaze is such a powerful trait in the game. It really can ruin an entire gang's day if they don't have hazard suits equipped, that's for sure. But the hand flamer, it's not there for doing damage. It's there for getting people out of cover and setting them on fire. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why it is number 1 on my top 10 pistol list. Anyway, if you like this video, please do comment down below and get this conversation popping off, and like, share, subscribe, and check out the Patreon as well. And I'll be back with another installment in this series real soon. Peace out.